La cultura asamesa de un estado de Assam en la India es lleno de personas literarias. Es una cultura que tiene mucho que ver con el campo, el folclore y muchas otras cosas y muchos otros aspectos culturales del Assam. Hoy tengo un invitado muy especial para hablar de algunos poetas y poemas de este estado de Assam. Tengo el invitado a Dr. Binod Kumar Gogoi con nosotros. Hello, Mr. Gogoi. Welcome to my YouTube channel.
Thank you for inviting me to. Thank you for inviting for this meeting.
Muchas gracias, señor Gogoi. Dr. Binod Kumar Gogoi es científico jubilado de CSIR en Jorhat, Assam, y se dedica actualmente a la traducción de poesía del assamesa al español, francés, alemán, italiano e incluso portugués. Ha publicado una colección de poesía asamés en traducción al francés, a saber, Splendors de la Poesía Asamesa. Mi pronunciación de francés no es tan buena, así que perdona por esto. Este libro contiene 111 poemas de dos poetas asamés de renombre, Nilmoni Fukan y Hiren Bhattacharya. También ha publicado otro libro en asamés, Baudelaire Katha Kavita. Contiene 33 poemas en prosa del poeta francés Charles Baudelaire. Esta entrevista va a tener lugar en inglés porque el señor Gogoi no domina español, pero ha traducido muchos poetas asamés y ha escrito o ha salido con este libro, Poesía Asamesa Moderna. This is the book that Mr. Gogoi was very kind to gift me. So firstly, thank you so much, Mr. Gogoi, for gifting me this book.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to have the interview in English for the convenience of Mr. Gogoi. So, Mr. Gogoi, firstly, before we start with the interview, I would like to know how are you doing, how's your health, and how are you spending your time?
I'm leading a retired life now. I am fine. And most of the time, I used to do the translation work, literary translation work, particularly Assamese poems into different languages, and from other languages to Assamese also I used to do. So my time passes like that.
Wonderful, wonderful. So as I told in the introduction, that Assamese culture is full of folklore, full of cultural aspects, and we're going to talk a little bit about this through your book. And I would also like, Mr. Gogoi, at the end of the interview, that we can read two of your translations, and maybe you can read in Assamese and I can read your translations in Spanish. Yeah? Okay, great. So my first question to you, Mr. Gogoi, is how did your interest in Spanish language begin?
Assamese literature has been enriched by the translations of world literature. In my school and college days, I read Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes and poems of Garcia Lorca in Assamese translations. Reading of translated works of world literature had inspired me to learn foreign languages so that I can read literature in original language.
Oh, wonderful. That's wonderful. That's great. And what were the challenges, Mr. Gogoi, of learning Spanish at a later age in life? You know, normally people start at the age of maybe say 20, 21, or even sometimes earlier. But you started at later age in life. So what were the challenges of learning Spanish at that age?
In schools, I learned English through grammar translation method. since Spanish is similar to English language, I find no difficulty in learning Spanish on my own through books and internet. Yes, as an adult learner, I am not very fluent in speaking Spanish.
Okay, that's wonderful that you've been able to attain that kind of interest and fluency in the language. And how did your interest in Assamese poetry begin, Mr. Gogoi?
Selected poems were included in our school curriculum, both in Assamese and English subjects. That is how I came to know about the great poets. I started reading their works, and my interest in poetry grew up.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. And what is Assamese culture all about, Mr. Gogoi?
Assam is a land of diverse cultures. The people of Assam are an intermixture of various races such as Mongoloid, Indo-Burmese, Indo-Iranian, and Aryan. Besides, Assam has a large number of tribes such as Bodo, Rabha, Kosari, Mising, Karbi, Deuri, etc. Each tribe is unique in its tradition, culture, dress, and exotic way of life. The native of Assam are known as Okhomia, which is the state language of Assam.
Oh, that's interesting, Mr. Gogoi. And my next question is about again related to Assamese culture, but how is Assamese culture portrayed in poetry?
Assamese poets have drawn on images and symbols from nature, countryside, oral tradition, and common experiences of the people.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's interesting. And who are the greatest Assamese poets and authors according to you?
The first great Assamese poet of the medieval period is Madhav Kondoli. He is a 14th century poet who made the earliest Assamese translation of Sanskrit Ramayana. Then Shankardeva is born in 1449, the initiator of Bhakti movement, and Madhav Deva, born in 1489, translated and adapted different books from Bhagavata Purana. Famous Assamese poets of modern periods, say 1850 onwards, are Ambikagiri Rai Chaudhuri, Ananda Chandra Borua, Binod Kumar Borua, Chandra Kumar Agarwala, Jyoti Prasad Agarwala, Kamalakanto Bhattacharya, Nalini Bala Devi, Hem Borua, Navakanto Borua, Mohendra Bora, Ajit Borua, Nilmoni Phukon, etc. Nilmoni Phukon, he won the Gyanpith Award in 2020. And among the authors, outstanding authors of early modern period are Lakshminath Besbarua, Hemchandra Goswami, and Chandra Kumar Agarwal. Lakshminath Besbarua, Hemchandra Goswami, Chandra Kumar Agarwal, Anandaram Dhekial Phukon, Panikanto Kakoti, Birinsi Kumar Borua, Moheshwar Leu, Benudhar Sharma, Mohim Bora, Bhabendranath Soikia, Birendranath Bhattacharya, Indira Goswami, etc. These are the authors actually, Lakshminath Besbarua, Hemchandra Goswami. Among them, Birendranath Bhattacharya, he is a novelist. He won the Gyanpith Award winner. Three of the authors in Assam so far won Gyanpith Award. So Birendranath Bhattacharya is one among them. Another was the Indira Goswami. She has also won the Gyanpith Award. Among the famous Assamese poets of the modern periods, Nilmoni Phukon already he won the Gyanpith Award in 2020. These are some few of the famous Assamese poets and authors which
Okay.
I'm for you.
Wonderful. That's great. You have reeled off some really important names here, Mr. Gogoi. And so my next question to you is, what are your influences, in Assamese poetry? How did you get influenced through Assamese poetry?
I am just a translator. I translate poems from French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian languages into Assamese, and Assamese poems into above-mentioned languages. As you have already mentioned in the introduction, that I have published 3 books, one on Charles Baudelaire's prose poems in Assamese, another is Nilmoni Fukon's and Hiran Bhattacharya's poems translated into French language. That book's name is Splendor, the Poesie Asamese, published by Parties India. And another, this present book, what you have shown in the interview, it is a Poesia Asamesa Moderna, a bilingual book in Spanish containing poems of 145 Assamese poets. That books contain 145 poets, including that Gyanpid Award winner, that Nilmoni Fukon's poet work also.
Right. Well, interesting. Very, very nice. And what is the main theme of Assamese poetry?
The themes are countryside, love, sorrow, protest, and patriotism. These are the themes. These themes are common, like in any Indian literature.
Right, right. Okay, interesting. Yeah. And my next question to you is, Mr. Gogoi, are there many people in Assam who study Spanish language?
No, very few persons in Assam know Spanish. It is not taught in schools and colleges. Maybe so far I know, so 3 persons I know who have academic qualification on Spanish. One is Tanmoy Sunwal, who is a research scholar in JNU. He has translated Assamese short stories of Lokinath Bezbarua, the great author Lokinath Bezbarua. His short story Buri Air Hadhu,
Okay.
that is tales of grandmother, that he has translated from Assamese into Spanish.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. And so my next question, Mr. Gogoi, is, so when I was giving the introduction, this is the book I would like to show again to the viewers here. This is called Poesía Asamesa Moderna, Modern Assamese Poetry. It has been, of course, translated by Mr. Gogoi, and it's in a bilingual edition. So we have Assamese on the left side and the Spanish translation on the right side. So my question related to this book, Mr. Gogoi, is, what was your main motivation behind translating these Assamese poems into Spanish?
Through translation, I want to spread Assamese poetry in Spanish-speaking world, and also translate the works of great Spanish poets into Assamese.
Right.
So another thing I want to add, you see, translation is a medium of learning foreign languages to me. As an adult learner, I am motivated to learn the languages through poetry. So while working on the translation of a poem, I spend hours on it. By that time, I know the language.
Right. Wonderful. That's great, Mr. Gogoi. And what challenges did you face in bringing out this book? I'm talking about both challenges related to translation and even challenges related to publication, maybe, of the book. Any technical or non-technical challenges did you face?
Because of COVID, the publication of the book was delayed. That's the problem I faced while publishing this book.
Okay, okay. Any other problem that you faced, Mr. Gogoi?
That being a bilingual parallel textbook, that DTP operator, he finds some difficulty in adjusting that the left-hand side Spanish, right-hand side Assamese, that those two books in one, that he faced some difficulty.
Oh. Any difficulty that you faced in terms of translation?
Translation, you see that this work, poems of this book, I took 3 years. And as I told you right now, that through translation I learned a language. So I used to spend a lot of time in internet, going to the dictionary, reading other bilingual poetry translations, because you see, because I have no formal education of Spanish.
Right, right, right.
Only I have a 50 hours A1 Spanish course, what I have completed in Institute of Spanish Studies in Bangalore.
Oh, okay, okay.
Only formally I have learned only for A1 level.
Right,
So yes, over the years, over 10 years, I have been studying Spanish,
right.
gradually improving. And this the poems what I have selected is translatable also.
Yeah,
You will be the better judge, because you know that you being yourself as a translator.
right, right, right.
So by that, those difficulties are a blessing to me. Even if I find some difficulty, I solve it
Right, wonderful.
finally. Once completed, when I complete a poem, say I get a pleasure of completion.
Oh, okay, okay.
I got the joy of creativity.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. That's great. So wonderful. And what do you aim to achieve, Mr. Gogoi, through this book? It might be similar to what I've asked earlier about your motivation, but anything that specifically you would like to talk about your aim to achieve through this book?
One is the Spanish readers will come to know about the modern Assamese poetry, as the works of famous Assamese poets as well as promising young poets are included in the book.
Hmm.
Another aim is to motivate my Assamese young poets to learn Spanish, to learn about the Spanish language. As I told earlier, that in institutions, Spanish is not taught, in which may be unlike you may be finding it difficult in the
Right.
state of Assam at this period of time.
Hmm.
It's not in colleges or university.
Right.
Most probably, even in private uh, institutions are also to teach Spanish is not there.
Hmm.
But hopefully, I have found two young girls studying in class 7 and 8. They have learned a language through internet
Hmm.
during the COVID period. I am very happy. Say these two girls,
Right.
they that has that indicates that although that tendency to learn Spanish, to learn more foreign languages has uh, taken root in Assam also.
Wonderful. That's great. That's great, Mr. Gogoi. And the last question for this interview is about what are your future targets, in terms of translation? Are you translating more from Spanish to Assamese or from Assamese to Spanish?
This work is in progress of one of that great Spanish poet, uh, is Leon Felipe.
Okay.
Okay, his poems in Assamese. Then another poet, this contemporary Spanish poet, that Francisco Munoz Soler.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Okay, he has given permission to make it a bilingual book.
Okay, that's wonderful.
So some 50 or 60 poems will be there.
Okay.
It's a bilingual book. And what I want to say, I always prefer to write the bilingual books
Mhm.
because we will have, although at present there are no readers in Assam,
Right.
if these books will be deposited in various libraries.
Mhm.
So once more and more Assamese are got interested in learning Spanish,
Mhm.
these books will be very useful to them because that I to, I have also learned the language
Mhm.
by reading bilingual books.
Right.
Since I am a literary translator, so I have got the good collection of various bilingual books of different languages.
Right. Wonderful. That's great. So, as we mentioned at the beginning of this interview, that we'll end this interview with a couple of poems from this book, Poesia Asamesa Moderna, and Mr. Gogoi will first read the the original version in Assamese, and I will read Mr. Gogoi's translation into Spanish. So I think what we can do, Mr. Gogoi, is we can read the first two poems of this book. Yeah. So one is La Abuela by Him Barua, and the other one is El Sol del Atardecer by Maheshwar Neo.
Let me read the poem written by Hem Borua,
Right.
that আইতা, এয়া আমাৰ আইতা আশী বছৰীয়া, মধ্যাহ্নৰ খুৰুজৰ প্ৰখৰ তাপত, নাইবা ঘনঘোৰ বাৰিষাৰ প্ৰলয় দিনত, জহকালি জাৰকালি সকলোকে উপলুঙা কৰি, ঘূৰি ফুৰা মৰাপাত বৰণীয়া চুলি। আইতাক লগ পাই সুধিছিলো মই, তুমি আই লাখুটিত ভৰ দি খুপি খুপি বিচাৰিছা কি? আইতাই ঘোলা চকু জুৰি মোৰ ফালে তুলি একেষাৰ কথা মাতো কলে, মই বিচাৰিছো কি, তই নুবুজিবি শুন, বিচাৰিছো মই সেই 20টা বছৰ মোৰ যৌৱনৰ সপোনৰ বাটৰ ধূলিত কিজানিবা আছে লীন হৈ।
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to read the Spanish translation of this poem by Mr. Gogoi. Abuela, por Him Barua. Es nuestra abuela, una anciana de 80 años. En medio del intenso calor del mediodía o durante los días desastrosos de la temporada de lluvias, verano o invierno, ella, de pelo canoso como el yute, camina alrededor. Al cruzarme con ella, le he preguntado, abuela, que caminas con pasos lentos sobre tu bastón, ¿qué buscas? Levantando sus ojos pálidos, me ha respondido, nieto mío, ¿no entiendes lo que busco? Estoy buscando los 20 años de juventud llenos de sueños que pueden estar mezclados en el polvo de la calle. Okay, so the next poem that Mr. Gogoi is going to read is El Sol del Atardecer by Mr. Maheshwar Neo. He'll first read the original version in Assamese, and I'll read his translation in Spanish.
ৰান্ধনী বেলি মহেশ্বৰ নেওগ, সখীহঁত আহাচোন কালিৰ লেখীয়া কৰি ধূলি বালি লওঁ, পোহৰ থাকোঁতে চাপৰিত উমলি উমলি লওঁ হয়তোবা কালিলৈ এটেপৰে হেঙুলীয়া ৰ'দ মাৰ যাব হয়তোবা নিয়ৰৰ নীলা ৰঙে পোহৰক ঢাকিকে পেলাব উমলা লগৰীহঁত আমি ধূলি বালি লওঁ পোহৰ থাকোঁতে চাপৰিত আমি উমলি জামলি লওঁ
Okay. El sol del atardecer por Maheshwar Neok. Amigos, venid como ayer. Juguemos con la tierra y la arena. Juguemos en la playa mientras todavía haya luz del día. Quizás mañana, en este momento, el sol rojo de la tarde desaparezca. Quizás el azul del rocío tape la luz. Compañeros, vamos a jugar con la tierra y la arena. Juguemos en la playa mientras todavía haya luz del día. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Mr. Gogoi, for a very enlightening interview. I'm sure that my followers here and viewers who are going to watch this video are going to take back something very precious from Assam, and that is what this channel is all about. It's about bridging the gaps between cultures and in fact constructing bridges for more interaction between cultures of India and cultures of Spain and Latin America. So I think you are doing a great service to not only India but to the Hispanic world by translating these poems. And I would really recommend this book and I recommend everyone to buy this book because I think it has got some gems from Assamese literature and containing about 167 Assamese poems of about 145 Assamese poets. So this is something that I would really recommend you all to buy, and I will in the video description send the link of Mr. Gogoi's Facebook profile so that you can contact him and ask him how you can get a copy of this book. I think that will be okay, right, Mr. Gogoi?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, wonderful. So, thank you very much y muchísimas gracias a mi público por ver este video. Espero que os haya gustado y hasta el siguiente capítulo de este canal Español por Dentro, en el que otra vez tendría un invitado especial. Chao.
Chao.